Hey! Alright. Let me turn it down a little bit here. How you all doing? It's Matt. Yeah, I'm back. Back for another video, folks. And this is my follow-up video to yesterday's video. The Vinyl Archivist contest about name your favorite Beatles covers. Or cover song, but in my case I went wild and went crazy. But you know, after I did it, a lot of people liked that video. I got a lot of great comments. But a couple of my friends here in the vinyl community shamed me a little bit, and they were right to do so. Because they said to me, Matt, what is this? The mellow Matt Street Beatles covers episode? Because if you look at that video from yesterday, folks, it was pretty mellow. And you know what Ted Nugent said about being too mellow, right? Go back to his live album and you'll know what I'm talking about. I can't repeat it here. Anyone who wants to get mellow, well, you know what they can do, right? So anyway, so one of my subscribers and viewers, Rich, hey Rich, Ed from the King's Court, mentioned some stuff to me, and my friend Tim Allen, all three of them great guys. But they were funny in their responses to me about, hey, where's the rock and roll, Matt? Where is it? All right, folks, so I'm making up for that today and doing another fun video for you, and I hope you enjoy it. So what did I put on first to kick off this Beatles covers, rock and roll, power pop, whatever? This is a cool one that my friend Stephen Schnee turned me on to. It's called The Punkles. Punk. Check it out. A lot of cool Beatle cuts on there. Covered by the Punkles. I like the cover, how it kind of a homage to the Help cover, the UK Help. So anyway, folks, had to grab your attention, so that's one I recommend. Couple of vinyl. Brand new set just came out from the Raspberries from their reunion tour over 10 years ago. But it's called Pop Art Live, the Raspberries Live. And this is a great one, folks. It's a 3-album set. I also believe it's a double CD. But they do some great live Beatles covers on here, like Babies in Black, Ticket to Ride, No Reply. So you may want to check that out. Have to show something by one of my favorite instrumental groups of all time, The Ventures. Now you can get Beatles covers on many of their albums. But I chose this one because this one has a cover of Strawberry Fields Forever, if you can believe it. It's called the Super Psychedelics album by The Ventures. Okay? I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one of my favorite Beatles covers albums, Chet Atkins, Chet Picks on the Beatles. Gotta get this one, folks. It's like a standard. If you want a great Beatles instrumental cover album, you have to get Chet Picks on the Beatles. All right, a couple of quick hits here. Can't you be remiss without Del Shannon's cover of From Me to You. Have to mention the king of rock and roll. He did a couple of Beatles covers, but on this particular album he does Hey Jude. You people who like the Byrds, Roger McGuinn. One of Roger's most recent albums is called Limited Edition. And he does a bang-up cover of If I Needed Someone on here. Check that out. The great power pop master from the Dwight Twilley band, Phil Seymour. Great Phil Seymour, may he rest in peace. But on this album here called Phil Seymour Precious to Me, it's like the best of Phil Seymour. And he does a great version. Sam St. John, are you listening? You like the song I Need You? He does a great version of I Need You on this album. Matthew Sweet, no, not Matthew Street, Matthew Sweet and Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles have done a series of great covers albums called Under the Covers. It's like Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, I don't know how many they're on now. But on the first one, Under the Covers Volume 1, they do a great version of Anya Bird Can Sing. The great Scott McCarl, who was one of the final members of the Raspberries before they broke up originally in the mid-70s. Well, Scott McCarl put out a solo album called Play On years ago. And on this album, he does a great, great cover of Yes It Is. Check it out. Have to mention Oasis. I know they're love them or hate them type band, but I like Oasis. I thought they were a great band. And on this album called The Master Plan, they do a version, or you can get a live version of them doing I Am the Walrus. Check it out. You all know one of my favorite power pop and psych rock bands of all time, the Gripweeds. And this is a great album called How I Won the War, and they do a fabulous version of The Inner Light. Check it out, folks. Great, great version. This one may be a hard one to obtain. I had to get this through somebody who made me a CD copy of it, but it's basically the great Marshall Crenshaw, and it's called Chestnut Cabaret Philadelphia Live, August of 1992. I don't know if you'll be able to find it, folks. You'll have to check around for it, but he does a great, great live rendition of Ask Me Why. Great. The Australian power pop master, Michael Carpenter, has put out some great, great albums of his originals, but he's also done this little series called Soup, which is Songs of Other People, volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. I think he's got at least 4 volumes now. Well, on his very first one, Soup, number 1, he does a fabulous version of Rain and I'll Get You. Check it out. There's the Beatles down in the corner right here. Another one of my favorite hard power pop bands of all time is Enough's Enough. Love them. And on this album called Covered in Gold, as you can see, the model is covered in gold. You know, not that we noticed that or anything, but you know, there she is with the peace sign. You know, gotta have that. And they do great versions, cover versions of Run for Your Life on here, Jealous Guy, and You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. Check it out. A band I truly love, the Flamin' Groovies. How many people like the Flamin' Groovies? Well, on this album right here, they do, one of their studio albums, they do a cover of Misery. And on this live album, Live in the USA 1979, they do a great version of Please Please Me, From Me to You, and Ticket to Ride. Great stuff from the Groovies. Check it out. Okay, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this band, Apple Jam. I have a lot of stuff by Apple Jam. On this one, they cover the White Album, which is called Off the White Album. And on this album called Off the Beatle Track, they cover all songs that the Beatles gave away, like I'll Get You and Bad to Me and that kind of stuff. Great, folks. I can't recommend this stuff enough. And last but not least, because a couple of my buddies in the vinyl community mentioned, Matt, why didn't you mention these? And you are exactly right. The Smithereens did 3 great all Beatle cover albums. You've got the first one here called Meet the Smithereens, where they do a recreation of Meet the Beatles, but in Smithereens style. Awesome. Meet the Smithereens. Can't beat that. The second album is called Smithereens B-Sides the Beatles, where they take obscure Beatle tracks and cover them, like Cry for a Shadow. Oh my goodness. Ask Me Why is on here. P.S. I Love You. Great stuff. Some Other Guy, even though the Beatles didn't write that. But you get the idea. B-Sides the Beatles. Check that one out. And last but not least, a very obscure one. The Smithereens play the Beatles' entire Washington, D.C. Coliseum concert from February 11th, 1964. The band recreates that Beatles show in Washington, the first U.S. concert. And this is fabulous, folks. Right. Very good stuff. Hard one to get. It's only in a little slip sleeve. Might be hard to find it, but if you can, I'd recommend it. And last but not least, my favorite power pop band of all time, with their autographs up on my wall here. Cheap Trick. Hail Cheap Trick. For Eddie from the King's Court, because he loves Cheap Trick too. Yes, Ed, I love everything Cheap Trick has done covering the Beatles. They covered a John Lennon Cold Turkey. They've covered Magical Mystery Tour. They've covered Day Tripper. I mean, anything Cheap Trick has done to cover the Beatles, I absolutely love and recommend to you folks. But this is an entire CD called Cheap Trick Sgt. Pepper Live, where they recreate the entire Sgt. Pepper album, folks. Can you believe it? Picture Cheap Trick doing the entire Sgt. Pepper album, folks. It is absolutely wonderful, fabulous, 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 and I highly, highly recommend it. So with that, folks, I'm going to leave you with the Punkles and say see you later, and I hope you enjoyed this.